Okay, it's pretty early in the morning up here, and we're up here tracking some of these old abandoned coal mines. They were once operated by Pratt Consolidated Coal Company, pretty high up on this ridge line in the woods, and there's a whole series of them, and you got to do a lot of walking straight up some high ridges to get here, but this is the first series of these old drift mines. And the sun's kind of coming up, so this was another one right here, and they were situated all along these ridge lines here, and this is the actual tramway bed that goes around this high ridge here and heads around to another series of drift mines. But this is pretty deep up here in the woods and pretty high up on this ridge line. Pretty steep, but we just wanted to come up here. Been researching this for a while, and a buddy of ours had also told us about this site, and so we just wanted to come up here and check it out and see what may be up here with these old coal drift mines going back to the early 1900s. So okay, and we'll just be heading that way along the tramway bed towards the sun. Okay, we're just keep moving around, coming from that direction along the ridge line of the tramway bed, and we drop down to these abandoned, these sealed up coal drift mines of Pratt Consolidated, and they had one here, and they had a big one right there. And the tramway bed will take us around on the side of the ridge, heading for more drift mines. There's just one after the other, so we're just actually just walking the tramway beds to each drift mine. So and you can see that was a tramway bed right there. So we'll just keep walking the tramway beds. Okay, so we came up from that direction down there in the ravine and the holler. There's the remains of the tramway bed right here, and coming up this steep embankment, they probably had some kind of coal chute, and these are a couple more of the coal mine remains right here of Pratt. And they're very definitive because you can see the stacked rock walls from 130 years ago, or 120 years ago, I mean. And right in here was the coal mine, and they probably had a little self-acting tipple, had another little mine cart right here, and there's supposed to be another one right on the other side, and this is the tramway bed right here. So we're just slowly making our way along the ridge lines, because this is where all these mines were located, and we're pretty high up right now. It's just incredible what these guys did to go find these coal seams, and that is a long way down. And you can see that's near the top of these steep ridge lines here. So we're maybe just a few hundred feet from the top. These are probably some of the highest coal drift mines I've ever seen. So we'll check out this one over here in a minute. Okay, this is the, we were just over there where Mr. Box is. And this was the other corresponding drift mine here. And there was one right there. It's not very discernible, but there are some remains of stacked rock walls. But this is the, this was the other coal drift mine working the same coal seam. And you can see there's the remains of the stacked rock walls. Probably had a self-acting tipple, and the drift mine entrance was right here. It's just hard to imagine. These guys had to, either they lived up here for a while, they had to walk all the way back down that steep ridge line, and maybe come all the way back up here to work every morning back in the early 1900s. And we are deep, and I mean deep in the woods. So anyway, we'll make our way back down the ravine, and then we're going to hook back up with the tramway line. It'll keep taking us on around to the drift mines. So, all right, nice little historic coal drift mine walk this morning. Really beautiful day. Good to be out in the woods. Okay, we just came along the tramway line. We saw a piece of tramway rail along the tramway bed. And all this out here is a flat area with another coal drift mine right here. And that was a large tailings pile. It's all flat, and the tramway bed will continue on around the ridgeline this way. But this right here is a rough stacked rock wall, and this pays off when you do a lot of research on these mines. And this right here is what some of the ones we came to find. And this is an intact coal drift mine from the early 1900s, right here. And Mr. Box has already gone in. He said the headroom's really good. It's a little steamy, of course, because it's super cold outside. But got the lens fogging up there a little bit. But so doing a lot of research pays off. High up on these ridge lines, deep in the woods, to find these old drift mine remains of early mining history, coal mining. So, okay, we'll see what it looks like inside. Okay, the opening is right there. It's having to wait here a few minutes to just get acclimated because there's a lot of steam because it's cold outside. So you can see where this was just hand cut with picks to get in here, and it's got a good shale support, some limestone, and that's the coal seam right there. It's not a very thick coal seam. It's maybe, looks like maybe a little over 12 inches, maybe 12 to 15 inches. And you've got one of the first left headers here, then a right header. Mr. Box is back there. So I'm gonna shut.
Mining shoes.
Okay, I'm gonna shut this off and let myself acclimate. Right back there is the mine entrance. So this is a good 7-8 feet of headroom minimum. So. All right, and we'll make our way over here. Okay, just had to keep moving way back in here to mine. The entrance is way back that way. Just it's so cold outside. It just takes it a while for these your lenses to unfog. So there is some kind of airflow coming through here, but this is pretty incredible. You can see the old cross ties right there. They were actually just wood chopped off of trees, and you've got these little adits here, these little headers where they were just going after the coal seam only. Looks like they blocked that one up. And Mr. Box is up here. Very well built.
For sure.
Very well built drift mine. I mean, this is just solid. And, oh wow, there's some wooden support timbers right here.
Yeah, check this out right here on this this rock.
Oh, it's a miner's shoe?
Yeah, and you got more down there.
Wow. Now that is something else. I've only seen those in a few mines.
Yeah, I didn't look to see if they still have the spikes. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
See the spikes right there on them.
It's just no telling how old these are. Could be 100 years old, 120. Yeah. It's just a long range light looking down this drift, and it just looks like it splits in two.
It does.
Way down there. So, but yeah, the miner's shoes got these old wooden timber supports. It's pretty good headroom. You can see where they had the minecart rails right here. A little bit of water coming down. We're really high up on this ridge. I can't remember the elevation, but it's high.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible that they had to come up here 120 years ago to even find this coal seam. It's not a big one, but
2 feet.
But we just don't know. Some of these coal drift mines are the remains of moonshine stills, and it just has us wondering if we're going to find one. So, all right. Okay, still moving on back. You see where they had worked these little adits right here and then filled them up right there. Seems to be standard. They put these little dinky wooden support things in here, timbers. Stack that rock wall right there. And that's a look way back out there to the entrance. That's how far we got to be a good 900 feet maybe. So you see there's mine's a little cross ties right there. Bats are everywhere in here, man. Starts to take a turn to the shallow turn to the right here. So looks like there's some a little bit better headroom up here. That's a look back. All right. Well, you don't see this very often. That's a stacked rock wall right there. And some really nasty looking brown stalactites. Wow, that is nasty. And Mr. Box is way on up there ahead. You can barely see his light up there. So let's take a break here for a minute. That's a solid roof right there. Best, one of the best, or if not the best we've seen so far. So, okay. Okay, this is kind of my termination point right here. Mr. Box is heading on further deep. He's more ambidextrous than I am. And but he did come across this interesting thing right here. That looks like a little miniature helmet, and it's solid steel with a hole in it right there. And not sure what that's significance. It could be some kind of a bell system. Not sure. But this mine, I think, will go all the way to the other side of the ridge line where we were originally. All these drifts, when they were open, they all connected at some point with one another. And all these ridge lines were just honeycombed with passageways. But anyway, and that's what it looks like. That's the route got to go to get back. So, all right. Okay, I got coaxed into coming a little bit further down. Kind of glad I did. That on the ceiling says 980. So we are 980 feet in this drift from the opening. And the coal seam has gotten a lot richer. So, and this right here is your main haulage way. And this is a break heading off into a side section. So you got a split drift right here. This is probably heading to another opening on the far side of the ridge we were on. So, and then Mr. Box, he's heading way back there. So, All right, you've got some a little bit better headroom, solid roof, and some definitive timber cross ties right there for the minecart rails. So, and you got a nice stacked rock wall right here that the miners built. Okay. Okay, this is that side angle passage at video. Just walk back there a little ways. You can see there's probably about 4 or 5 inches of standing water. The rock stacked in where the coal seam was, and this thing just keeps going. Found a whiskey bottle. Didn't take a picture. I've got it in the bag. But anyway, Mr. Box has just yelled up and said he has found a moonshine still. And so they'd probably be back in here. Oh, anyway, that keeps going, and here comes Mr. Box. And you can see, we've seen some of this before in some other mines. It's interesting. It's like you're walking on the beach. So, all right. Okay. Just decided to go ahead and keep coming on down a little bit further. And what you got here is what we were kind of thinking might be the case. This is the remains of a huge moonshine still operation right here. And that's the whiskey vat right there. And you got some deep pans right there. And you got some other barrels right down there. And you got this right here. That's probably linseed oil. Could even be kerosene, I'm not sure. But anyway, the water is going down in this direction. And there's another header leading off into the water behind there. So anyway, pretty interesting. Able to find this. This is one of the bigger ones that we've seen. And they had these things way deep in these mines to keep away from the revenue agents. And abandoned coal drift mines were just perfect. So, nice find. Mr. Box actually came across this before I did and called for me to come down here. So, anyway, excellent. Okay, just thought I'd video this. That's the coal seam right there. And they actually had a little a header back in there. It's hard to kind of see, but there's actually little wooden timber supports, and these guys had to get on their stomachs, man, and go sideways to get that coal back in there. But let's see, moonshine still, and this is passageway leading out, maybe, and you got remains of the moonshine operation everywhere. Steel bands from wooden barrels, oak barrels, right here. So, all right. Okay, we came back to this Y junction, just taking a miner's break here, and you can see this heads off in this direction, and this is the main haulage way where Mr. Box is. So we're just kind of taking a little break before we make the long trek back out to the outside world. But Mr. Box found us some moonshine still further back in, and we found some whiskey bottles, found some miners' shoes, and some other things. And so we did a lot of research to find this mine, but we still need to do more research on it, because this is a lot bigger than we anticipated. And the coal seam, the further you go back in, it looks like it gets about 2.5, almost 3 feet, somewhere between 32 and 36 inches. So it's some pretty rich coal. But boy, Pratt Consolidated, boy, they worked this ridge, I'll tell you that. So, all right. Now for the long trek back. Okay, well, we're making our way on out of this mine. It just keeps going. It's got left-right passages. About 1,000 feet away is at Moonshine still. And absolutely incredible find. Well hidden. Well hidden mine. And making our way back on out. Look at that. And somebody had to crawl up in there to get that coal seam. Wow, man. Oh, man, I feel good to stand up. All right, Mr. Box is heading on back outside. Just a really incredibly historic mine. Very, very well preserved. Further back you go, it gets more airflow. So, lots and lots of bats. So, all right, I'll get over this miner built wall and head on out. I couldn't really film this coming in because the camera's lenses were all fogged up, but this was the left passageway. And the miners just stacked that right there for whatever reason. And there's our glow sticks. Always good to use those. And here it is coming out of the opening here. Oh, great headroom, great headroom. Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, all right. We'll wind this on up and head to the next one. They were directly above the mine we came out because they were working different levels in coal seams. So you've got 1, 2, 3 slab strip mines. And you've got the one with the rock retaining wall there. So these were big mines, but there were different levels of coal seams they were after. So very rare to see one mine on top of another. And we're going to go down this tramway bed right here. And this will take us to the other series of mines. We might be on a time constraint today, but definitely have to come back. You would have to spend basically about a week up here in the woods to, you know, to stay in one position to probably see them all. So there's so many. But this right here behind that tree is the tramway bed. It leads over to another series of mines. So, all right.